Over here, and we are following this breaking news out of Washington. Some serious allegations this morning facing the State Department.
That's right. According to internal State Department memos, the agency might have called off or intervened in investigation into possibly illegal and inappropriate behavior within its ranks, allegedly to protect jobs and avoid scandals. This concerns the time that Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. We want to get right to NBC's Chief White House correspondent Chuck Todd with the latest. Chuck, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. You know, there's an old saying in Washington that the cover-up is worse than the crime. But in this case, both parts of it are disturbing. Allegations of prostitution and pedophilia, and allegations that those crimes were somehow covered up or not looked into. So the State Department this morning is having to respond to those claims and those investigations of misconduct by State Department officials, including by an ambassador and security agents attached to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And the allegations are that these investigations were whitewashed, quashed altogether, and that those orders came from high up.
NBC News has obtained documents related to ongoing investigations into some disturbing allegations involving State Department personnel and at least one ambassador. A State Department.
Why the elites engage in and aid in systemic child abuse. If there's one question that's been on all of our minds over this last year, that question is, what is going on with all the pedophilia on this planet? Why is it that every day and everywhere we look, we are finding institutionalized child sex abuse? Why? Why child sex abuse? Why is it that from the churches all the way to Hollywood, from the Boy Scouts to preschoolers, from the foster care system to child protective services, it's becoming increasingly clear that pedophiles have been intentionally placed all around the world and all around the children. With each passing day, it feels as though it's becoming more and more obvious. If there is a single reason we're all here together at this place in this time, it is to eradicate a global centuries-old plague of pedophilia.
If you can control about 3 or 4 key elements, you can totally own a state. You can make right wrong. You can make truth falsehood, falsehood truth. If you control the media, if you control the Justice Department, if you control the police, you own the system.
There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Elite pedophiles have been running the earth. Beyond just the Epstein case, which drags this fact kicking and screaming right under the public square, we've had countless other stories over the last couple of years, like blaring alarm clocks, that have been beaming this horrifying reality into our stubborn, resistant brains. Just recently, a Playboy model who uncovered evidence of an international pedophile ring was found dead just weeks after publicly stating that she was fearing for her life and would never commit suicide. As seen here, model and actress Natasha Jayet, 41, said that if she was ever found dead in suspicious circumstances, it would be due to her attempts to expose the pedophile elites and their worldwide ring of child sex abuse. Former child star Elijah Wood has famously spoken out on what he calls Hollywood's pedophile crisis. The Daily Beast asked him, in an industry notorious for turning its back on the issue, will anyone listen? And whatever happened of Pizzagate? The people like Liz Crokin. Those people have been relegated to the furthest reaches of the internet for daring to discuss this topic. But now we have Epstein's flight logs and black book and thousands of scathing pages of court documents all made public. President Trump is signed executive orders to work on ending human trafficking and the pedophile rings. We have former Disney child stars filing lawsuits. We have thousands upon thousands of victims suing both the Boy Scouts, the Catholic Church, all the way to Epstein. We have real evidence about the worldwide spread of atrocities going on within child protective services. There is no denying the reality of the widespread, multi-institutional, systemic child sexual abuse rings. What I want to focus on is the burning question rattling around in the brains of 99% of the humans on Earth right now. And that question is, why? One reason is the blackmail factor. This is one of the far simpler reasons for elite sexual abuse of the children, and is of course the blackmail factor. This is the biggest reason why Epstein Island and other so-called honey traps exist.
With a simple oath, we affirm old traditions and make new beginnings. We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind. When we see that wounded traveler on the road to Jericho, we will not pass to the other side. We will not pass to the other side. We will not pass to the other side. We will not pass to the other side.
It is an age-old intelligence technique to compromise an asset. It's why the newly minted celebrities, celebrated athletes, and politicians alike go to places like the Playboy Mansion. So compromising evidence can be manufactured and collected to be used as blackmail. This is just another way of creating a slave, and the byproduct is you're sexually abusing more children in order to do it. Remember, sexually abusing as many children as possible only strengthens the position of those at the top. This is why they have not only allowed it to go on, but have arranged for it and created the circumstances for it by which it can most easily occur. Another one is hacking our mainframe. A woman who does work with victims of child sex abuse explained it to me like this. Being that it is how we all got here, sex is a fundamental to the core of our being. If there is a human mainframe to hack, sexuality is a backdoor by which to do that. When you are sexually abused as a child, in a sense, it goes straight to the core of their being, and it starts messing with the wiring. While this whole concept is probably very foreign to most of us, remember the wiring, our wiring's been tampered with in many different ways. It's how they got to where they are in the first place, how they have ascended to their ranks of controllable elite puppet. While what we think of as a vicious cycle where the victims themselves, once they gain a little power after a childhood of powerlessness, become abusers themselves. Is this in this sick upside down world of a perfect automated system? For those at the top of the pyramid, it's the perfect business model for the world in which they live in. All of these techniques of fracturing the mind through trauma were part of a Nazi science research program brought to the US under Project Paperclip. What began as a Nazi research into the science of controlling human behavior, originally known as MKUltra, spiderwebbed out into hundreds of sub-projects. So even this covers like trauma-based mind control through testimony from whistleblowers like Kathy O'Brien and other records of documents, hundreds and thousands of, which have been amassed over the last 50 years or so. We know that sexually abusing a child is a technique of trauma-based mind control, which was extensively studied and used by fractions of our own government. Then you begin to understand the levels of depth that this has. So when it comes to child sex abuse and its rampant existence, in order to stamp it out, which we will and are currently doing, we need to get past this reflexive mental and spiritual block that we all have and regulate it in our minds to what it really is, an age-old secret tool of the top echelon of elites for controlling their elites, influential puppets, and the masses. We have to know the inside of it, inside and out, exactly what we are dealing with in order to fight and destroy this institution as quickly and completely as possible. It's time we all wake up and flip this pyramid on its head and expose this whole evil, corrupt system for what it is. I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you. Where we go one, we go all.